Several primary spirit crystals. They are needed to identify the characteristics of one's soul vessel and to select the appropriate techniques for faster success. The bell seemed to ring for all Lightstar. The class was finally over. The cadets of the Academy of the Sacred Orchid poured out of the wide gate into the street, where the merchants were loudly praising their wares. New bronze armor, don't pass by. An unassumingly dressed shopkeeper beckoned enthusiastically to customers, and his efforts drew the attention of a number of cadets. The cadets whispered admiringly. A bluish glow seemed to emanate from deep within the metal of the armor, hoarfrost patches woven into mysterious patterns on its surface, and the armor had a pervasive cold smell. How much is it worth? An awe-inspiring whisper was asked by one of the junior cadets. 60,000 demonic spirit coins, the merchant grinned. How expensive? A simple family couldn't save that much in 10 years. The patterns on the armor were engraved with a mystical crystal and etched with the blood of a snow witch. The witch was at full strength, and obtaining one was no easy task. But it did give the armor some serious attack power, too. Able to be worn by Demon Caster and Blizzard warriors, the salesman went on to lavish praise on them. After staring at the wristbands, the cadets regretted their departure. They could not afford such expensive items. If the bronze armor costs so much, how much should I pay for the silver or gold? Lu Piao muttered. His father gave him 500 coins a month for his allowance. Their family business was booming, so Lu Piao was considered rich and had helped Nali and Du Jia many times. However, even for Lu Piao, the bronze armor was too expensive. Nali, Lu Piao, and Du Jia didn't have time to turn their heads to look at all the curiosities in the stalls that stretched along the street. Here you could find anything you wanted, both more expensive and cheaper. What are you up to? Lu Piao asked, looking suspiciously at the looking around Nali. At that moment, they noticed someone at the counter. Look, it's Shin Yu. Lu Piao nudged Nali, and Yi Ziyun. Nali turned around. Several girls were chatting about something, giggling merrily, and among them. Yes, it was Yi Ziyun. Her pretty face and cute smile seemed to radiate light. She was more beautiful than all her girlfriends. Everyone was only looking at her. The whole world seemed to brighten from her mere presence here. Shinyu couldn't take his eyes off her either. Well, I'm going to need the bronze wristband soon. Wrap it up, he tossed carelessly to the clerk. Yes, young sir. The satisfied merchant immediately began packing up his purchase. Here are 60,000 demonic spirit coins. Shinyu touched his interdimensional ring and pulled out 6 demonic crystal cards from within it. Pretending that spending 60,000 in the blink of an eye was nothing for him, he placed the bundle of purchase into the bowels of his interdimensional ring. He's so rich for throwing away money. The girls all giggled around. Some of them had their eyes lit up and threw flirtatious glances at Shinyu, but he didn't even look at them. He did, however, cast a scornful glance at the company of our friends, and then turned to Yi Ziyun, showing with all his looks that she was the only one worthy of his attention. What a jerk! Lu Piao snarled furiously. All he can do is brag about his wealth. Rich man. Throwing away 60,000 and not blinking an eye. He also has an interdimensional ring. Oh! Du Jie shook his hand and shook his head. He's handsome, and his pockets are full of money. Not Li, who are you against him? Ha! Yi Ziyun doesn't care about his money, Nali threw back carelessly. All this time he kept his eyes on her and noticed that Yi Ziyun was chatting with the girls and didn't even notice what Shinyu was doing. She occasionally glanced at Xiaoning Jr., standing away from everyone else. Her gaze reeked of coldness. Xiaoning Jr. always kept to herself and avoided contact with her classmates. Nali remembered that Yi Ziyun had always wanted to be friends with Xiaoning Jr., but fate had made them rivals. Shinyu seemed quite disappointed that he couldn't impress Yi Ziyun. Well, it seems that Yi Ziyun is not interested in money. But that doesn't mean that she will agree to be your wife. Teasingly, Lu Piao winked at Nali. Nali laughed. There was no point in being offended by his friend's taunts. He knew for a fact that he was Yi Ziyun's first and only. Come on, guys. Let's start implementing our plan. Du Jie and Lu Piao nodded in a flash of seriousness. Lu Piao, you will buy 2 light crossbows and 500 bolts for them. Keep in mind, a crossbow costs 160 coins and bolts 30 each. Make sure you are not cheated. Nali ordered. I'll meet you at the training ground outside the academy. All right. Lu Piao nodded, pondering, how does Nali know how much something is worth there? Has he really had to buy crossbows before? Nali was only entitled to 50 coins a month for pocket money, so he had no way to make such expensive purchases. And you and I, Du Jia, will go in search of black marsh grass, Nali said. If used properly, this herb was capable of causing paralysis. Du Jia's money was even worse, so Nali bought the herb with his own money. However, the black marsh grass was very cheap, 1 coin per bundle. In addition, Nali bought some oil to combine all the ingredients with. All that remained was to pick up more Zelui grass on the hillsides outside the walls of Svitozer. What do you intend to do with all this? Du Jia asked with doubt in his voice. With a puzzled look on his face, Nali grinned. The black marshmallow has the ability to cause paralysis, but its effectiveness is very low. It's actually used as a painkiller in ointments. And the herb Zelui on its own is a worthless weed. But if you combine it with black marsh grass, you get a very powerful paralytic. Du Jia was dumbfounded, then asked, how powerful is it? Nali grinned all over his mouth. It won't work on ordinary demon beasts at all, but did you know that sheep herders never eat Zelui grass? Sheep's food? Du Jia paused for a moment, pondering a sudden hunch that had occurred to him, and then he asked, aren't you an alchemist, Nali? Alchemist? Nali scratched the back of his head thoughtfully and laughed. Something like that. Nali and his friends had chosen the safest of the ranges, which was inhabited only by sheep herders, quite aggressive but still herbivorous. If things didn't go as planned, they would get bruises and bruises. In a word, no risk. The guards checked the lists of cadets and let the 3 of them enter the range. In the meadow, sheep grazed among the sparse trees. They peered around with ruby-red eyes and flicked their ears nervously, listening to see if there was an intruder, ready to attack at any moment. Suddenly, upon hearing a suspicious noise, the herd sprinted straight toward Nali and his friends.